Hey guys and girls, Captain Rick Stanczyk here, and we're still down here in the Florida Keys on coronavirus lockdown. We're not fishing, visitors aren't allowed to come down for the foreseeable future. So, what are we doing? Well, school's in session. We're going to be putting out some videos teaching you guys how to do a few things just to kill some time. Today I'm going to be talking about the FG knot, my favorite braid to mono leader connection. I'm going to show you why it's such a great knot. It was making its rounds around social media several years ago. I took a look and it took me a little bit to really kind of master it. You know, I had to practice tying it at night for quite a few nights before I really got where I could trust it. But it's my favorite braid to mono leader connection. I don't think there's one better for inshore fishing. It's just super strong and it's super small. I'm going to tell you a few reasons why I really like it. Here they are. Alright, so here just to show you, this is an example of a completed FG knot. You can see how nice and small that knot is, and the reason it's so small is because your mono does not double over like it does with most knots. That mono just stays straight like that, and the braid wraps around it a bunch and kind of sinks down and bites down into it, and then it's knotted at the top to keep it all together. Kind of like a Chinese finger trap. What this does is it makes that knot very small, so it's really just like your mono coming out of your rod tip. If you go to cast and you reel this into your tip, it doesn't foul your cast up like a double uni knot will, so you can still cast accurately, which is one of my favorite things about it for inshore fishing, because sometimes, you know, you're in a hurry, you reel up real quick, there's a fish, and you reel that knot into your tip. This way you still can put the, you know, your jig where you want it, so that's great. It's also super strong. You lose almost zero line strength with that connection, which is great. You know, you don't lose so many fish. And the other reason that's good is because oftentimes your knot at your hook will break as opposed to this, which means if you get snagged in a tree or something, which happens all the time, your hook will break off and you'll still get your leader back, which means all you have to do is tie another hook on. You don't have to retie your whole leader. So over the, you know, course of a day, that saves you a lot of time and a lot of frustration. So that's another reason why I really like this knot. Alright, so we're going to get into tying it here, and I'm going to show you how I do it on the boat here with the rod, and hopefully you can master it at home. Alright, so we got our reel and rod in the rod holder. I usually come off my rod tip when I'm tying this knot, but for this demonstration it's just coming directly off the reel, which is fine. But one important thing I want to talk about first is the most important thing when you go to tie this knot is having ample pressure on your braid. Can't be too tight, can't be too loose. So that's why you don't want to have somebody trying to hold the rod. You want to have it somewhere stationary and secure, so a rod holder is perfect. And again, ample, steady pressure, not too tight, not too loose. That's a key to it, and it's going to make this knot a lot easier. So I have my drag tight, but not super tight. That way there's a little give in there when I need it. And I'm going to take this braid, put it in my teeth. I like to hold it in my back molars, just like so. And again, keep it tight enough, but not too tight. And now we start taking our mono and go over the top of our braid like so. Lay it right on top, and we make one loop around towards the spool, just like that. And now here's the trick. You gotta kind of come down, and this is why that pressure on that braid is very important, and kind of twist it around and get a nice loop just like that. And now we come back towards us, and same thing, come down and make another nice loop on top towards the spool, twist it around, another nice loop towards us, twist it around, another nice loop. Now that's 4 loops, and you can see how nice and pretty they're laying on top of each other. That's very important. That's where the strength of this knot comes from. And again, having ample pressure, steady pressure, not too tight, not too loose on the braid, is paramount to getting that right. And now we're going to finish doing this. We're going to go 20 times like that. I'm going to start from scratch again just to show you guys. Alright, here we go. So, braid in the teeth, Nice ample pressure. Get the mono over top. One loop. Twist it around. Now we go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, the magic number. And you can see how nice and pretty those loops are sitting on top of each other. Everything is very symmetrical and smooth. There's no jumbles in there. Everything looks nice and smooth and pretty. And that's what you want it to look like. And again, key thing, have that braid with ample pressure on it, not too tight, not too loose. And you should be able to get it to look like that. Now, next part is pinch all that stuff. Now you can take the pressure off, take it out of your teeth. And now what we're going to do is put some half hitches over the top. Take the tag end of your braid and you go over top of your mono and your braid, and then come back through the loop and just make a nice hitch like that. Pull it down snug on top of all your loops there. Now all this should stay tight. You can let go of it, but your knot is not finished yet. We still have to tighten it down. But first, we're going to do a couple more hitches. Now the first one we came over top. Second one I like to come from underneath. And then I do a third one over top again. And then snug all that down nice and tight. You don't have to pull like crazy, but just snug it all down. Now we're going to tighten this baby down. So we take one good loop around our mono, and then I take a nice big exaggerated loop around our braid, and I usually go around my wrist like that and come back through and just kind of pinch it in my fingers there, because braid really bites down into your skin. So wrapping it around your wrist, your hand rather, you'll always get into those line cuts, and it's just kind of painful if you fish a lot like I do. So I like to go around the wrist and just come out of my fingers. And now you just got to pull like heck on it. One thing you want to look for is you can kind of see how that knot is twisting. That means you're pulling hard enough. It should twist around a few times. Get it to twist 5-6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then just hold it there for 4 or 5 seconds. Now one thing you can look for to tell if you pulled hard enough, at the very top of the knot, you should see that mono make almost a little twist in the top of your loops there. I think you can probably see that. It just kind of makes a little bit of a twist at the top. And almost, the mono almost kind of shoots out through those, little wraps you've made there. That's how you can tell if you've pulled hard enough and you've really got that braid to bite down in there strong enough. And in this knot it has, so we're good. We're ready to trim it up and finish it up. We're going to trim our mono tag end as close as we can to the braid without cutting the braid. That's very important. You don't want to cut your braid or nick your braid, of course. So now it's nice. There's not much at all sticking out there. Now what we're going to do is a few more half hitches with just the braid around the braid. So 1 over top, 1 underneath, 1 over top. And again, just pull all that down nice and tight. Now you're done. Now we just have to trim the tag end of the braid. I always like to leave a little bit hanging off, just like that, because remember, your braid always has a tendency to kind of like fluff up, and so your little half hitches at the end there over time may come unraveled, so just leaving a little bit hanging off is going to just make that hold a little bit longer. But anyways, this is what you should have when you're finished. Nice pretty FG knot. Again, always look for that little kind of jump in the mono at the end there. That little twist tells you you've bit down hard enough. Now that's super strong, super tight, super small, casts real easily, and you should lose almost no line strength. FG knot, my favorite inshore connection for braid to mono. Okay, and here's one other way you can finish this knot. They call this a Rizzuto finish. So we got all of our wraps there coming off the top. Take your tag end of your braid and you go over your mono and your braid, and you go through that loop 1, 2, 3 times. And then you kind of pinch that loop at the end there. And now before you pull all that down, here's the tricky part. Now you kind of go backwards with your loop. 1, 2, 3. And then you pull your tag into your braid down like so. Tighten that down. And then you tighten your knot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Trim everything up. Trim your braid. And that's just an alternative way to finish this knot. Either way is good. This way takes a little bit longer, but some people think it's a little prettier. But I usually go the route of the half hitches. This way, you know, you're still going to have the top of that braid or mono coming out there without any hitches over just the braid. Sometimes those hitches over the braid seem to make that transition a little bit smoother going from braid to where the mono is. But you know, if you're not worried about that, it's not a casting rod. Some people like this. It's a little bit cleaner finish, but just one other way you can do it.